Okay, well, this is pretty exciting. Fantastic work, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the workshop. My name's Levi Woods, and today we've got a special guest for you. I've got a young prop builder, and he is coming into the shop today. He's brought a couple of knives with him that he's forged himself. We're gonna make some leather sheaths together, so I think it's gonna be a pretty exciting episode. Let's get over to the bench. All right, Ethan, without further ado, see what kind of goodies we've got.
Yeah, so
and you made this?
Yeah, I made that, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I did this in about less than a week, I think. This was the first iteration of that.
And then we've got a couple of knives.
Yep.
And then are these pommel pieces?
Oh yeah, these are pommel pieces for one of the knives I'm working on.
As always, we've got Richard across the bench. If you're not familiar with his channel, you should check out Dark Horse Workshop on YouTube. This tomahawk is cool. Is it sharp? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's sharp. Yeah, it's two different types of steel. It's a mild steel here, and then I inserted a 5160 high carbon edge there, and I forge welded it together.
So this is forged welded where?
If you look along there, you might see a bit of where the
Oh yeah,
forge
you
weld
can
was
totally see
and
it.
stuff, so it was split down and then put in, and then.
And is that hardened as well at the back?
No, that's a mild steel. It's more of a decorative. Hit that at someone, it's going in, but it's not going to hold an edge. This will hold an edge though, because it was heat treated in canola oil. This was the first tomahawk I made, but I didn't temper it properly. Forge weld cracked. It's not safe to use, but I keep it as just a reminder of always make sure that you temper your blade properly. This is a Scottish dirk I've been working on. I still have to make the handle. This is just a piece of brass I was thinking of maybe using for the pommel, or I kit bashed some 3D files from Thingiverse to make a pommel that I'm thinking of getting cast in bronze. And I thought that would look really cool to have on a Scottish dirk.
And this is a 3D print?
Yeah, that's a 3D print, yeah.
Oh, very cool.
What I'm mainly here for today is the wedding gift. This is 5160 high carbon steel blade. Guard here is actually ground from a railroad spike.
Blade is super shiny.
Yeah, it was all done by hand too.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And then you talked about doing some blackening on this. Whereabouts do you want to do some
I was
blackening?
thinking like blackening, if we blacken the cross guard here maybe and the pommel itself.
Okay, and then do you have anything else to show us?
Crude knife I made for bushwork. This is my chopper, which I kind of think of as a Rambo chopper. That's 5160 steel as well. Forged it out in like 2 hours maybe, and then just ground it to shape and heat treated it.
Is that 1/4 inch?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Right, wow. Very cool. So Richard's motioning across the bench that he wants to do some hammering. So we're gonna cut this short and we're gonna get to the sheath building. Go ahead, Richard, hammer away. And today we're gonna build some sheaths. So Ethan and I are gonna tackle these, both this chopper and this little
seax.
Seax.
Or sax.
Sax, a Viking sax. So we're gonna do that. I have no idea what he's got in mind. So we're gonna go onto the computer and we're gonna take a look at a couple images that you guys can look at with us. And then we're going to do a quick sketch and size out and pattern out and show you guys exactly how we would make a knife sheath for both of these weapons. All right, Ethan, can you tell me what you like about each of these images?
I like this because I like of the color and the tone, but also I really like the brass work and how it has the accents of the copper.
And do you need belt loops on it? Is that sax gonna have?
Belt loops would be cool. I like this because it's slightly at a bit of an angle.
Okay. And just so we know, which side of this blade is gonna be up?
I like the idea of having the spine up.
Sounds great. Hi, Richard. I'm right. Yeah, I'm gonna tap right now. So of course there's a bit of a leak and we're trying to figure out where it's coming from. So Richard's run upstairs to see, and I guess they've spilled some stuff. I was just banging on the ceiling to make sure that we knew exactly where it was. So of course this is the kind of thing that happens in the shop. You know, we've got people upstairs and they spill stuff on the floor and they don't clean it up and it drains down into our studio. Crazy.
And she got upset at me for being back in there. I'm like, you know, like, it's leaking in my studio.
That's what Richard's always trying to get me to do, is do a podcast about stuff. So we're basically going to create a sheath like this for this chopper. So what I want you to do is trace that guy out on there. And I'm going to trace out this sax. I'm going to mark on here the point where the sheath ends. So that's that. And then we need to draw on here where the fold is going to be. So it's going to be a fold. At some point, do you want it above the knife handle? It generally is.
Yeah.
It's like right there. So that will be the fold. And then all we do is we're gonna just draw 3/8 of an inch around the outside. You're gonna draw this outline and this is gonna become our pattern. Then we're going to double this length here and fold it back in on itself. So draw that out, and then we'll get that cut out. On this, we're going to do a little piece of metal work here that's going to match the same width as this. And then we want it to hang on an angle, so the other one's going to go here. Some sort of metal attachment here. And then this is gonna fold over and be like that. That's the basic sheath right there. And on this one, we're gonna go spine up. I'm gonna put this like this, and then I've got some strap mock-ups so we can see how that's gonna hold on there. I think that's looking pretty good. So trace it out, and then you're gonna cut it. I'm just putting water on this because I'm gonna stretch this over the back. So I'm wetting the leather on the outside. What that's gonna allow me to do is put it over the knife and stretch it out. Yeah, and then just fold that pattern up and then draw a line across it and cut it off. I would draw it, then cut it with the ruler. So now you just have to cut the welt. Okay, so we've got the 3 parts cut out, and the knife has got to go in there. So what we're gonna do is use the pattern marks to draw the inside of the welt and then trim off that part of the leather. So you end up with a strip of welt around the whole thing. When we stitch it, we can always sand it off and adjust it after.
Yeah.
So, but that's fine. Because we were kind of aiming for 3/8 on the outside. That's the test fit. And it looks like without that welt moving, we'll be able to put that in and out of there pretty easily. And then the cover will go on top, and that'll be the outside. Okay, so the next step is going to be glue this welt on. So you're going to want to put some contact adhesive on here, inside your lines, on the back of this. Then we'll stick that together, contact adhesive here, and then stick it all together, sandwich it. So Ethan has gone ahead and hammered the end of this. He just wet the leather just a little bit on the inside and the outside and then hammered it flat, so we've got a nice fold over. The other thing we're gonna wanna do is put a little strap on it with a snap. So he's gonna have to, before we stitch it together, we're just gonna have to cut 2 slots in here.
After getting this welt installed, I'm just going to do some final shaping, and then I'm going to pop it in front of the heater for a little while, maybe about 10 to 15 minutes.
Give that a whack. Maybe a little harder than that.
There you go.
Lovely. Now test your leather through there and see if it's going to work through those slots.
It's a little, like a millimeter or 2 wide.
I think it's going to be good, because then it's not going to pull out of there either way.
Yeah.
So now just mark these slot punches on here and make sure they're nice and even. Punch the 2 holes, obviously not through your both layers. And now I'm going to cut out these hangers, 2 matching ones, one for the front, one for the back. Kind of put my thumb there to like.
Like it dips in a bit in the middle here,
Mhm.
and then it's a little higher on either side here. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's enough that it's really.
I know you're worried because you're going to create a flat spot here.
Yeah.
I think there's enough material. We should try to smooth it out the best we can. Let's get this to a nice 90.
Okay.
So you're going to have to shave off a little bit more here and just keep it right around. All right, so all these pieces are looking really, really good. We've got this knife in here. The blade hasn't rusted yet, which I know Ethan was concerned about, but I wasn't so much. It's almost dry. It was sitting against that wood, so I'm gonna leave that sitting face up. We've got the metal bits mostly cut out. We've got a few little shapes cut, and I'm gonna do the jewelry saw bit here for the scroll work. The rings are there. Ethan cut some straps, some 3/4 inch wide straps for that guy. And I think we're gonna adjust the angle comparatively to our original pattern. Once we get this trimmed down, I think these straps are gonna be a little bit more like that, because we were finding that we needed enough strap to be long enough, and we didn't want this one to be ridiculously long. So it makes more sense to just change the angle a bit. And then this chopper one is just about done. Ethan's done an amazing job. We've got a black snap that we're going to put on to the one side as a closure. And then I'm just gonna quickly run over the sewing machine and stitch this up. He sanded the edges, dyed it black. It's looking pretty good. All right, well that's looking pretty good. So Ethan thinks that the sheath is a little bit tight.
It's not going in.
And he can't get the knife in there.
What? Oh,
Slicing
there we
right out
go.
Slicing right out of the...
You get it?
No, we just cut all the way through the... Luckily, we make things around here. All right, so... There we go. We've cut through the threads now. Great, the welting's not working very much. We're gonna get this sorted out.
In the meantime, I'm going to use Jack's Steel Blackener, my favorite patina.
All right, so the important thing about this is we don't get it on the blade. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a paintbrush, and we're gonna keep the blade vertical so that if the liquid drips, which it will go down the blade. Basically, we're just gonna paint this on. Now, in an ideal world, you would blacken these pieces before the knife was fit together. While we're at it, we're gonna do a little tomahawk blackening as well. We do this a lot for movie swords and blades. We do like blackening on everything, and then you just kick it back, sand back the highlights where you want it to be shiny. It's a pretty effective little finish. So the black is not black, you know, it's like a dark gray, and you can see those rainbow color kind of in there. Well, that was an awesome build. I hope you guys are feeling inspired. You can see how easy it is to do leather work. I know Ethan learned a ton. I know I always learn a ton when I'm trying to teach somebody a new technique. And that's what this channel is about. It's like learning through creation. So if you're new, click that subscribe button. It's right there. Turn on the notifications bell so you can join me on my awesome journey to learning and creating. We'll see you soon, where you never know what we're going to build next.